Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new Transport Fever 2 Let's Play. Okay, that's garbage. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new Let's Play of Transport Fever 2. I'm Dragofire32, and I'm going to be doing a modded run-through on a custom map, the Great Basin. So let's get into it. So here's the game creators made this absolutely awesome map generator, and honestly, it's a ton of fun. Even the smaller maps can be really dynamic and fun to get like really complicated networks going. But we're actually going to be going to do the Great Basin today and going forward. I think that there's a little bit more flavor with these custom maps. A lot of hard work went into this one in particular, and I'm not too sure who the mod author is, but I think all three of these are theirs, and they're all fantastic, or all four of these. But we're going to do the Great Basin because it's kind of what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead here to our select options because here's all the mods, just tons and tons of mods. But it's not really mods. Mostly it's really fun assets, right? New buses, new tunnel types, just all sorts of content. Some of them we might not actually end up using, probably not. That's kind of the sad part about having such amount of content to go through. Sometimes you don't use it all. But anyways, we're going to go in here. We're going to disable. We're going to have costs. We're not doing a sandbox mode, and vehicles will have end years because as fun as it is to watch those pesky steam trains hang around while we've got high-speed bullet trains going at 160 kilometers an hour, and yeah, no, we're not doing that. And then there's also always all available. This is another mod that just is not necessary. Okay, so let's check our settings. Ooh, up to 6. And then we're gonna hit start. And we'll be back once this loads. That's kind of the downside of having so many assets, is that it takes a little while to load. And I had started to go through and clean up the asset list, and then I'd go, oh, well, that's really neat. I'm not going to get rid of that one. Well, that's really cool. I can't get rid of that one. Oh, yeah. So pretty much determined that after the first 2 pages of reviews that the likelihood of me finding stuff that I was willing to chuck just decreased. I mean, I was like, well, great, okay. It looks like we're doing this. We're going to have all 400 assets in here, and we'll just figure it out. But that's okay. So we're going to be shooting to appreciate the game's mechanics, and we're also going to be looking to do a little bit of detailing just to add a little bit of spice to our networks and stuff. I really like the economic aspect of it, but I also really like the beauty aspect of it. It's like having your own model train table in your basement, except for it's way cheaper, and I would say less time consuming, but sometimes it takes a while to play these games. But all right, we are in. Let's go here, settings, audio. We're going to make sure things aren't too loud, and we are going to double check the audio levels. Okay, so this is the Great Basin. It's a really fun map because we've got these 2 metro areas. We've got Fargo, and then we've got Cedar, and then this conglomerate of states or cities, and these build up into just massive cities because part of the cargo or part of the destinations is their own private transportation, which really ramps up the growth of these cities like really quickly. And then we've got relatively sparse industries. As you can see, I've got the multiple levels enabled because really, like this, the vanilla food processing plant here would be overwhelmed by the amount of food required here, like almost instantaneously. So we've got extra levels, and then we've also got the ability to build more industries. And then, the iron ore mines are up in the mountains, which is challenging, but it's also really fun because you can have these like winding mountain railroads, and we're going to get a little bit of freight ships going. And so we're going to get started with a few truck lines just to start our initial economy off. And then what we'll end up doing is we'll probably utilize this oil refinery and this oil well to really generate a ton of cash. I actually played through this once already, and not all the way through, but I utilize this, and it makes a ton of money, but it's so infrequent. Even full bore production, it's like 30 minutes, it feels like, between ships arriving, and so your money is like constantly whiplashing. So we're gonna do truck lines first just to get a basic economy going, and then we will add a few ships, and then we'll get into the freight trains to amp things up. And then to prevent these cities from growing out of control, what we're going to do is we're actually going to provide goods to these outlying cities first, because they won't hit a feedback loop. They'll just take their 14 fuel and they'll like it, right? And they'll take their 16 or whatever, and it's a lot more sustainable that way in the short run, until we can really get in here and level entire city blocks and build tram networks and stuff, which is the really fun part of this map going forward. But anyways, let's get started with a farm here. And as I'm clicking through these menus, you can see kind of the gratuitous amount of content that I've downloaded in addition to the base game here. But yeah, so here's my first cargo. I like to add a little extra spot there so that there's more room for turnarounds. We do want to keep in mind that we're on kind of a shoestring budget here to start with because of the maintenance costs from, or rather because these trucks they're not free, and they're not going to be generating a ton of cash flow, but they will get us started. And then I like to add a little bit of flavor here in the form of maybe some less optimal bends and stuff in here. And we're going to see our horse and buggies kind of go along these curves nicely, and very, very relaxing, watching the initial wheels of industry turn. So let's see here. Now this is the greatest improvement to the game that they made right here. And that is this tree asset. They added it in 2 patches ago, and I mean, just look at it. It's incredible. Just, wow. We're gonna put a rock by it. Or we're not. No, I kid. It's actually this line mechanic. So now you can select for it to share all 3 of these. So before, especially in the early stages of the game when your storage capacity per vehicle is much lower, you would very quickly overwhelm a single platform, and you could either have the same line go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth, and then assign different lines every time it goes back and forth, but then it would whiplash weird, or you'd have to do 3 separate lines, so you'd have to like dun grain truck number 1, and then number 2, number 3, and it was a nightmare. But we're gonna name this number 1, and then we've got our bright yellow grain color here, ready to make cereal. Uh-oh, what's going on here? So let's get our depot down. Boom. And then we're gonna start with 30 of these just adorable little horsies. Oh God. And we're gonna start the simulation. Oh, it's working. Okay. It chugs right there while everybody's deciding. Simultaneously, 1,000 job interviews just happened, as everybody's figuring out where they're going to go. And then the grocery lists for every citizen was generated so they know which commercial building they're going to after work or whatever. So we're going to start letting this play, and then we're going to repay all of this real quick, and we are going to take the time to get rid of this. I think the map maker was really focused on making just a gorgeous map, but they never finished the the road connections between a few of the cities. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to do this. We're going to come around here. And then we're going to weep as we consume valuable dollar bills to make this happen. There we go. Hey, some people are happy. And then this is the other thing about this map, is because Transport Fever only lets you put water at the lowest amount, or at water level, right? This is the 0 meters above the sea level. As you come up here to make this nice river, it's like, nah, this is where water can be, and this can't. So this is all painted on, which means it looks really goofy if you don't build a bridge. It's like, oh yeah, because usually water goes up to the river level, and then it disappears, and then it comes back down. Very, very organic looking. I really like that. All right, and then last we've got San Bernardino and Rancho Cucamonga. It's interesting because these cities are in the valley. Sacramento is up by San Francisco, but these two are pretty much next to each other, if I remember correctly, in Southern California. And it is just really flat and deserty there, not green. Oh, and then the one thing we want to do here is we also want to go ahead, we want to manage this line, and I want you to only leave if you're fully loaded. So let's check our line rate here. We've got a line rate of 177 out of 200, so that was pretty much almost dead nuts on. And now, look at that. Glorious capital in action. The foundation of an empire. But we've got more money to borrow, and just a little finance lesson for you. If it is economical to take out a loan, if you can make more money by taking out a loan than it costs to repay the loan, including inflation and interest, you should always take the loan. So I don't even know what the interest rate is on on Transport Fever loans, unfortunately. So we can't do the math. But let's say it's 3%, right? And we're gonna make, I don't know, a 4% increase once everything's all said and done. Once you break down the cost for maintenance of the roads, once you break down the cost for the maintenance of the cargo and the vehicles and the sanity lost for, doing the environmental impact study on this road, all that stuff, as long as it is 1 penny more then what's your interest cost? It is a sound business decision. But you better make sure that you count up your pennies exactly, or else you might lose money. But this game is not that in depth, I don't think, when it comes to penny counting. But anyway, so here we're going to do the same thing again. We've got that really neat three station thing, and yeah, so we're gonna get this wood line up and running. I always like to forget it's so we've got, you can't put this long logs in there, so we're gonna do the American style. American. We're gonna buy 30 of them, and then we're gonna make a new line. Lathe timber, or is it lumber? No, you go to lumber yard. It's a timber truck. Number 1. There we go. All right. Alrighty. And then we want to make sure that they can go to any of these. In fact, we prefer that they do that. And at Olathe East, fully loaded. Now, before we put 30 on here, on a shorter route, we got to 177. Here's a longer route. We did 30, it's going to be 121, but we need 400. So, boom, 60. And yes, I love this, yeah. Please go empty down here first, and then spend 3 years going back up to the other side. Yes, thank you. I like that. I don't know how it works. I think it just goes to the closer one, maybe. In some instances, I think it goes to the one with the most stuff waiting for it. I don't know. But yeah, they're going to waste a full years of maintenance going down there and turning around. That's okay. Let's double check this line. 187. We are actually going to go ahead and do 3 more. Sure. And 207. So now we're wasting a little bit of money, but we're up and running. Okay, so these were 2 easy solutions. Let's take a look over here. We've got another nice and easy sawmill line going on here for the trucks. So here we go. I like doing these straight road sections here. We're going to check to make sure the incline's not too much, because we don't, the amount of horsepower you get from the horse is not that much. In fact, I think the conversion rate between actual horsepower is like 1 horsepower is like equivalent to the output of roughly 2 or 4 horses at once or something. Like the term horsepower as a unit of measurement doesn't even make sense when you actually understand the work output of a horse versus a horsepower. But yeah, so that's the kind of channel this is going to be. We're going to talk about horsepower. So yeah, all right, here we go. Here's our. We're actually going to do this. We're planning for the future. We're going to go right by, because we're going to have another line that goes out there. And then I always like to lock in the straight ahead. So I go too far and then blow it up. All right, and then we'll do a little test. Our hypothesis was that the vehicles are going to come out and they're going to go to the closer station. So let's see if that's the truth. Probably helps if we have a station. Oh boy. Fantastic work. Just fantastic work. Okay. Now then, new line. Start here. Go there. Obviously brown because you're wood. You're moving timber. Lumber. No, timber. All right. Jacksonville timber truck. Number 1. Oop. No. Okay. Really? Fine. Freaking jerks. How would we like to never make a profit ever? Okay, so we've got that line set up. What else we got? Oh, we've got another easy breezy lumber here. I actually prefer the 20mm ones just because it's a little easier, I think, for things to turn around and not get jammed up, which when you are just absolutely blasting away at capacity here, you can easily jam up one of these stations. And then this is my other favorite thing. You know, we're gonna drop the lumber off, and then some poor schmuck from the the sawmill has to come out here. I guess they could just roll them down the hill, and then they've got to avoid getting crushed, and then bring them into the sawmill. So, yes, we are a full-service transportation company. Nothing but the best from Drago Fire Transportation. And here we go. You know, we could probably afford building a tunnel through there, but where's the fun in that, you know? This is flavor. This is the zest of life right here, folks. You know, digital dirt roads, all to feed digital people whose homes we're probably going to callously destroy to build our own stuff. But, you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, you know. And then, of course, we've got another depot, which I know we could destroy them once they're not being really used, but I like the visuals of having the depots around. In fact, what's his name? Hushy, I think. He's got a kind of a story-driven Let's Play of Transport Fever. And I don't know if he's got a mod. I couldn't figure it out. Maybe I'm just not that smart. But he had this really fun either idea, self-written rule or whatever, that every train has their own depot, and maintaining rolling stock in the form of assets, you know, in a stockyard like you would. It's just brilliant stuff. We're probably not going to go as in depth with that, but I do definitely want to make sure that we are, you know, building the supporting infrastructure, if you will. Because that's fun, I think. And I think the development team starting to add more modules for these is great. Adding the fact that you can store capacity. Okay, so you guys are going to go to the correct place now this time. Why? Is it because they go to the second destination first? But Let's go ahead and make sure that we've got this set up correctly. So, you know, something that I would love to see is don't do that because they will not have anything to load there. I would love to see like crane modules be added as part of the base game. You know, it would cost you upkeep, but maybe increase the load speed of your vehicles. You know, waiting stations or something to increase the catchment areas. So it's kind of like, well, do you want it to be too arcadey or not arcadey at all? Is it a game? Is it a economic simulator? What do you want it to be? Well, I want it to be everything. So there. Okay, we're going to extend this because what happens is even though they can go to all three of them, they'll get stuck here waiting for the space to clear. So now actually, if we look here, Olathe East, 24,000 a year. Daggum, that's a lot of upkeep. So yeah, so I think we're gonna leave it at that, getting the first few initial runs going here, and the official 0 episode, or 1, depending on how you like to look at things. So thanks, and we'll catch y'all next time.